Hey, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. I was really excited to have you on. And you definitely have a cool origin story. Can you share with the listeners kind of like what got you into the martial arts and kind of what keeps you going so vibrantly?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate that. It's always a honor and a surprise when someone reaches out and checks out my mission and things. And so yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. So yeah, my name is Chris Hanson, founder of Karate Unity. You could find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Our my focus is on cross training and other arts and combat sports. And Karate Unity, just really quick before I get into to answer that question, Karate Unity is basically a teaching and learning collective based out of here in Toronto, Canada. And we consist of traditional martial artists, combat sport players, and tactical combative instructors. And I find that synergistic group very helpful in all of our development. Like for example, the combat sport guys can benefit from the self-defense guys. The self-defense guys can develop it from the traditionalism. The traditional guys can develop can it's a symbiotic relationship. It's really cool. So yeah, we're a bunch of instructors that get together, share seminars. We teach each other, we grade our students, and yeah. So why did this all start? Really simple. I grew up in Scarborough, which is a city here in Toronto, a small one. And back in the time, like I'm 54 years old right now. I grew up in the late 60s. It was a racially turbulent time here in Toronto. And unfortunately, we were the only Asian family at this particular school settlement, and it was rough. It was rough growing up, man. And I was bullied every day. It's a very typical story. I was bullied every day. Everything from the way I looked to how I smelled to how my parents looked to the food I ate to the music I listened to whatever, the way I walked and talked and who I spoke to, and you name it, man. It's all in my head, right? And I hated that. It really affected me. And I found that people weren't united; they were segregated, and it was terrible. And so I was getting beaten up pretty much on the weekly. Everything from just being pushed and shoved to emotional abuse to actually getting cut and kicked and punched and thrown into lockers and all the whole bit, right? And it wasn't fun. My dad gave me a choice. He said, "Listen, I'm going to put you in hockey, or I'm going to put you in martial arts. Take your pick." I didn't even know what martial arts was, but I knew what hockey was because everybody at that, Canada and hockey, it's a big thing over here. At that particular time, everybody in my school was in this hockey league. I didn't want to be there because all the guys were there, all these bullies were there. So I said, nope to hockey. Let's try this martial art thing out. And we didn't have a lot of pickings back then, so it was just karate and stuff. And yeah, the moment I set foot in this club, man, I saw white, black, brown, Asian, fat, skinny, girls, boys, you name it. Everybody under the rainbow was there. They all had their story. They all had their issues. And for once in my life, bro, I felt accepted. And that was it. That was a powerful moment. As much as my dad and I don't see eye to eye in a lot of things, that's one thing that we see very much eye to eye. And I am so happy every time when I go see him like when we go eat and whatever, I hang out at his place with my mom and stuff. I give him a big hug, and I tell him, I said, I really appreciate what you did for me, man. So it was that. So that whole piece, being in a martial arts school, it's something special, especially traditional karate school. It's where it's that group fitness vibe. You're there, you have a structure. You're repping the crap out of stuff. You're hearing everybody beside you sweat. You're feeling the breath, and it's just so spiritual, but it's also primal, and it's amazing, And I did that. I got addicted to it, man. And I put in time for like 14 years in one style, another 12 in another. So I had 26 years of uninterrupted traditional hardcore training, which was really good. And then my cross training journey began, which we'll talk about that later. But that's the
So
beginnings, man. That's why I started Unity, because so in a nutshell, I wanted to have a system or a way of thinking to embrace other people's differences, especially in the martial arts, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you put in enough time in a particular martial art, it all ends up looking the same. It's really, it is on a biomechanical level. If you strip out, like if you take a car, right, you got the structure of the car, you have all these amazing looking designs, aerodynamic designs, you know, this and that. But if you look at the car, you take the hood up and you look underneath, it's an engine, man, you know, and it's martial arts is the same thing. I mean, it's designed to stop violence, and it's designed to creatively, you know, foster character. And that's the artistic part and the martial part, right? And all martial arts share the same tactical things, you know, cut center line, stop the opponent, break balance, get out. That's it, right?
So, Chris, you know what I love so much
Yeah.
about your story is you ended the cycle of violence, right? Because you very easily could have, you know, become the bully. You know, you could get the training, you could bully the people who couldn't, you know, who couldn't stand up to you. You could do those things, but instead what you've done is you've done a big pivot to where you bring the unity where everybody's welcome, right? And first off, your content is amazing. And that was the reason why I reached out to you. I love the message of unity. I love the freedom of thought, that the martial arts truly becomes an art when you're open-minded, you're flowing, and you're incorporating other things, whether it's a thought process, if it's respect for somebody else, they teach you a cool move, openness to other arts. I love that message. And so that was also cool. And I applaud you as a person for taking your rough upbringing and now all of a sudden making the world a better place, because really that's what you're doing. And can you tell me about like your seminars? Because it seems pretty cool and unique. So if you could tell me about your seminars and how it's like a joining of styles, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So I started recently going on the international circuit. I'd say back at 2018, 2019. I went to Texas, I think back in 2018. I don't know if you heard of these guys, Karate Culture guys.
Yeah.
You heard of them?
Yep.
Yeah, they're based in San Antonio, but now they moved. They kind of split up, and Michael's still doing his thing. But I went over there and we did some work there together. Michael basically said, he says, listen, I like what you're doing. He goes, you need to put your stuff on YouTube. You need to get some tech going and, you know, go for it. I'll help you unleash the floodgates of your material. And so that, shout out to Michael at Karate Unity. Karate Culture. They're actually rebranded now. And I think they're called Karate Breakdowns, which is
okay.
Yeah. So if you want to check that channel out, it's really cool stuff. I want to tell you, I was inspired by his mission. And so I didn't want to be a copycat YouTuber. So I tried to find, well, it wasn't really hard to do. My mission is really simple. Immerse yourself in what you love and insert ideas from everywhere, you know? And so this is, I don't know, where was I going with this? Seminars. So then anyway, since I got that channel established, which was in 2019, people from all over the place started messaging me, very much like yourself, just saying, hey, Chris, man, do you have any books? Chris, do you have a website? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have a Patreon? Do you have, all this kind of stuff? And I'm going, no, and no, right? So I was thinking, oh man, I got to do something. There's a demand apparently for this kind of thing. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to talk to my wife. I got to figure out how I'm going to be mobile here, and I need to change things now. So yeah, so that gave birth to seminars. I first started doing that in the UK. I established a relatively close-knit following over there. Like there's big names like Ian Abernathy. I don't know if you heard of that name. He's I guess you could say one of the founding fathers of practical karate. I mean, he comes from a pedigree of hardcore guys in the UK, like Jeff Thompson and those guys. And so anyway, I did some work with him recently. I taught alongside him, along with Les Bubka and Christian Vedavart, the Germany chapter of Ian's work. And so I just made a lot of contacts recently, the last couple of years. And so I've been flying over there, and what's beautiful is they have a traditional karate curriculum there, very open-minded, but it's still under the karate umbrella, which is nice. Very freestyle. They embrace other arts and combat sports, but this is where I come in. So I come in and like for them, it's still under the karate umbrella, but for me, it's martial arts that has karate flavors to it. It's a little different, right? So I show them, like, for example, the last seminar in Germany and in the UK, we did lots of practical drills from Savat, from boxing, from Filipino martial arts, the trapping and checking and things like this. And I showed them how that is biomechanically similar to a lot of the kata and kihon that we're doing. And a lot of these guys were going, whoa, okay, I see that connection. And they're going, yeah, exactly. And I said, cross-training in these arts, these guys are specialists in this. So for example, like Wing Chun guys, they trap up center line all the time, but karate has trapping, boxing has trapping, right? Wing Chun has trapping to affect your balance and so that they can set up something else. But so does boxing, but boxing does it at a different range. But the fact that you can take a subtlety from boxing, like for example, the lead hand trap to jab, say, to set up the cross or the overhand, that little minutia of movement can be inserted into your Wing Chun game and your karate game, right? And so I showed them how to do that, and I showed them drills, and it seemed to be successful. So I filmed a lot of content when I was there, and just slowly by slowly, I'm trying to trickle it out. It's just so much to do, man. It's just, I'd be divorced if I did this full time.
No, what's really impressive is how, again, it's opening up to different perspectives. I had a fantastic discussion yesterday with Tony White from Shoshin Jiu-Jitsu in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he's become a friend in much the same way as you, right? And he has this very cool open philosophy of integration of all different types of useful pieces of different styles to become more well-rounded, and sort of sharing that and sharing the lineage and showing respect for other arts as well. And I think 100%. That it's very easy in some styles, if you're with the wrong instructor and you have the wrong sort of school culture, it's very easy to feel threatened and defensive by other styles and to say, no, ours is perfect. And well, sensei, like, what happens if somebody attacks you like this? Well, they never could. Well, okay, everything could happen, right? So I think it's really cool when you're opening eyes and perspectives. It's also a very caring way for you to be teaching others, because you're having them embrace reality. And that was a big part of my discussion yesterday with Tony, as we were talking about respect and understanding lineage of all of the different styles, and really figuring out, okay, can I integrate this into my game, and where would I? And sort of just overcoming ignorance in all forms is good, but especially in the martial arts, because sometimes it's easy to look past another style because it is not your style, right? At the end of the day, we're artists. We need to integrate in anything and everything that feels right, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Well said. Really well said.
Thank you.
I some connection points to that is, like, it's kind of like the whole Bruce Lee thing, right? The whole JKD, Bruce had an epiphany ever since he came to the US, man.
Be water, my friend.
Huh?
Be water.
Be water friend. And just flow. Like he was beyond his time, man. And that's one of the reasons why I have huge inspiration for Bruce. I mean, I have, if I could just show you here, I got Bruce Lee cutouts.
Oh, no way.
You see that in the background there? I got Bruce Lee cutouts in my dojo. I got a ton of Bruce Lee paraphernalia upstairs in my library. I mean, I love the whole idea of, absorbing what is useful, looking at martial arts as a language, man. It's a language of movement and strategy. The moment you stay and marinate in one style, you've lost already, because so here's the thing, right? When you take a look, I'm not a history guy, so I might be off on a couple of times and years here, but I'll just say the generalities. Like, let's look at Okinawan karate. Okay, Okinawan karate came from Okinawa, but they had influences around the countries around it. In particular, China. A strong influence from white crane kung fu. That came across over to and influenced Goju styles and things. So like movements like this and movements, hardcore grabbing movements and all that stuff all came from white crane, arguably, along with a lot of other arts, right? And the thing is, these guys, these masters, were highly insecure about a lot of things. From a strategic point of view, they were developing themselves, but they were also looking at what are these other countries and cities are doing, and as they started to get more, they traveled out more, they started to see, hey, all these other countries are doing similar things, let's bring it back. And so that's that. If you look at the Kung Fu world, there was wars against schools in terms of like the Wing Chun school versus the Hung Gar school, right, versus the Tiger school. They were always kind of competing and looking at each other tactically, stealing certain ideas. And so what I'm trying to say is martial arts has always been evolving, always. And it's kind of like this. But then, for some reason, there's been this disconnect where everything's plateauing now. Uniforms, believe it or not, is not traditional. Uniforms is very modern. Like martial artists back in the day, and this is historically proven, you can read about this, traditional karate guys wouldn't wear any uniforms. They just wear whatever, their home clothing. Sometimes it was hot, they would just take their shirts off. They would go bare-chested with underwear, basically, and they just train, right? And that's, and then later on uniforms came in, but I don't know, that the way I see it is everyone has evolved, but for some reason we haven't in some cases, right? And I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring that back and say, listen, stop the madness. You are not the best. Karate is not the best. And there's all these guys that claim that karate has everything. Oh, if you don't practice the kata and do a deep dive into kata, you are missing karate. And I'm going, oh, right? I can gain more out of my karate if I start talking to other people. I'm not rejecting my karate. I can just get so much meaning. It's like you and I, okay? If you and I decided tonight that we're going to order a book from Amazon, you buy the book, I buy the book, and we both read it together, I swear, if we chatted about this book in a couple of weeks from now, I would get different perspectives from you on that same book. You know what I'm saying?
100%. But that's a great, that is another great sort of segue into this thing of ego, right? Because I feel like ego is this construct that keeps so many people apart when you don't understand the other style. Like I grew up, for probably 15 years doing karate, Tang Sudo karate. And to this day, I still love it. And I've been training Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with Henner and Hiron Gracie out in Torrance. I've been training there for 9.5, 10 years.
You're lucky.
And the ideology of one style being superior to another, to me, is just very, very foreign to me. Like I don't really see the benefit in putting down another style. Like I am personally, I think it makes people sick sometimes. I am a huge fan of Aikido, and I've always loved watching the flow of Aikido. And I see that, yes, it's you need to have a very specific attack done to you for a lot of the Aikido to quote unquote work. But I still see so many beautiful things in it, like the footwork and the wrist locks and, and obviously the throws and whatnot. They're all amazing. So it's like, I'm hoping to one day integrate some Aikido into my game as well, if for nothing more than sort of like this philosophical underpinning of having exposure to more and more art. So I have the karate background, which I know is perishable, and I don't even consider myself a black belt anymore because I haven't really trained for a long time. Jiu-jitsu, I'm a purple belt there. I want to keep expanding my horizons and expanding my friendships and my relationships with other like-minded people who are cool, who are able to say, hey, here is what we do, and sort of share. And I think it's your selflessness and the way that you present your art to me is super impressive. Now, I've seen your training tapes, and for anybody listening, I'm going to put links to your socials in,
Thank you.
on the podcast page. Oh, my pleasure. And I would strongly suggest anybody go check it out, because the usefulness of your interpretation of your art, I think, is highly commendable. And I think it's super cool because it opens up doors for other people who may not have been fans of traditional karate if they had the wrong type of exposure. I strongly suggest they check out yours and they say, wow, that is a very cool take on karate, because the practicality really jumps out. And that was the thing that really struck me, is how amazing cool your content is.
Oh, appreciate that. I'm
Very
still
sincere.
a baby when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm always growing on that too. I mean, I'm learning how to use different editors. I'm learning how to colorize things. I'm learning how to increase my title presentation, and there's so many different aspects to content creation. I am just a baby, man. Like, but I appreciate the comments. Over this last 2 weeks, I've been last week actually, as we spoke prior to recording. I'm on vacation, so I use that time for just a little personal development, learning how to edit better. Because in the new
You're
year,
gonna have
I
to
want
give me
to
some
have.
lessons.
Oh, anytime, man. We can do a Zoom chat over it, but we can share screens and I can show you. It's not hard. But I used to pay people to do stuff for me, but now I'm learning how to do it on my own. But back to your point, I respectfully want to just point something out. A lot of people, when they look at Aikido, you see, and when they look at any style, they're looking at it from the lens of the, how could I say, the lifestyle that they're living right now, the time zone that they're living in right now. So, for example, if you and I were to look at Aikido or karate or Taekwondo or whatever, and I mentioned these particular arts because these arts, like karate. When you talk to a lot of people who don't know about martial arts, when you say karate, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? They say McDojo. They think kids. They think Karate Kid, right? They think robotic movements, right? When you look at Aikido, when you ask them about Aikido, they think of long dresses, flowery prearranged movements that's not realistic, and Aikido takes a big gets dumped on a lot, right?
100% unfairly, yeah.
Yeah, unfairly. And Taekwondo too. Oh, it's toe tappers. They just jump around, and kick. And okay, but here's the thing. I don't blame people for judging that, because that's all they see, you see. But when you put in time and you talk to OGs in the game, like, oh my God, like let me just tell you this, okay? Tai Chi, okay? Now, everybody, when they look at Tai Chi, this whole talk about Tai Chi is the same as Aikido. So you'll know what I mean when I unravel this.
I think I know what you're gonna say. Yes.
So so let's make a bet. Let's see if you're right. Okay. Okay. When I had a relationship breakdown many years ago, over 10 years ago. It was a serious one. It affected me. I had to move homes and this and that, and I worked out at a gym. It's a gym called Good Life. It's a pretty big gym here in Toronto, in Canada, actually. And there was a dance studio there that I would go in there just to, drink water and take it easy, walk around, warm up, or cool down. And there was a Chinese man over there. He was training. He was a Tai Chi guy. He had his school, Tai Chi Chuan, and traditional kind of guy, characters, this and that. Old man, but older gentleman, I should say. Fit. He was all cut to shreds, really fit, clean skin, good looking guy, very fit, and he had all his students there. And when I walked in and they were just doing, they were doing their nice fluid kind of stuff, right? And I was thinking, stereotypically, oh, that's Tai Chi, right? Yeah, no worries. It's Tai Chi. I didn't think anything of it. I go back in, do a couple of sets, come back in, and I see the same group. They're doing something different now. So now I see the guy with the whistle. I see with his water, and he took off his traditional gear, and he's got a t-shirt on with shorts. And I see the same group, and on one, they got mats out. One side's grappling, the other side's striking, the other side's wrist locking, the other side's just kind of wrestling. And I'm going, oh, I go, different class. I said, hey, how you doing? I go, is this a different class? He goes, no, this is Tai Chi. I went, what? He goes,
I have
yeah,
to admit, I was wrong. I was
yeah.
definitely wrong.
He goes, this is Tai Chi that I teach it differently. He says, I show the applications of all the forms. He goes, you don't understand what I'm talking about, right? And I go, no, I think I know what you're talking about, but let me confirm that. He goes, can you show me an example? Respectfully, I just want to know, right? So he called some of his students over. He goes, okay, this guy here he's a Greco-Roman wrestler guy. This guy here is a boxer, and they all train my curriculum, but they flavor my Tai Chi. And I show them how I can connect it to the forms. So he was showing me this move here where you kind of put your hand down here and you put your hand right across the body. So from your perspective, it looks like this, right? And so what that move was, I kind of understood it, but I didn't quite get it until he had to show me, was it's basically a throw. So you're crashing in, you're taking this hand, you're passing it, and you're just smashing this hand right across the body. And you can't see my legs right now, but my legs kind of shoot behind you and drop. And so when I'm doing that, your body spins and goes right down to the ground. It's a beautiful takedown. You see that actually in MMA all the time. They do it. Sambo does it. Wrestlers do it. Judo guys do it, right? So,
Yeah.
but it's all in the Tai Chi forms, you see? So, that was mind-blowing, you know? And so I'm saying, okay, martial arts is a language. You got to learn it, and you got to learn how to unpack it by cross-training in different arts, right? So, yeah,
Chris,
that's
that is so cool. I was expecting something else, and my story on that was really quick, where I spent some time in Hong Kong. This was back in 2005, 2006. I was there for work. And I used to go and I used to watch the guys doing Tai Chi in the park, and it was all different ages, and they were flowing through very, very smoothly, softly, just it looked beautiful. But I kept thinking, well, it's not that practical, right? That, like, how could you actually practically apply this? And then one day I was there, and they started picking up the pace and, with each other, and they were showing some things, but they weren't actually striking, they weren't actually coming together. But I was like, wow, like Tai Chi, when done fast, you can see the effectiveness when you flow much quicker, but they were still
yeah.
flowing. And that was the part that was so impressive to me. I thought that's what you were going to say, but that is a really cool perspective. So, so I realize, and I want to be respectful of time. And also I'd love to have you back on the show. I think that I'm taking an educated guess saying that you and I could probably be on for 15 hours and still be super excited and keep going.
Oh yeah, man.
But so one thing I'd love to just sort of just wrap up with for now, and like I said, I'd love to have you on multiple times. I feel this really cool connection with you, is if you're a brand new first time student, like, what advice would you give you to the kid who's just getting started, or even more importantly, to the adult who wants to get started doing martial arts, but is feeling anxiety about getting started? What would you tell them?
Well, I would have to get to know their reason. It all comes down to the why, right? You got to know your why. Why do you want to do martial arts? What's your goal? If it's just fitness, you don't need martial arts for that.
Yeah.
But if it's for self-defense, then you would probably be better off at a Krav Maga school, or a school that teaches tactical combatives. If you want to learn a combination of everything, then you need to look for a school that cross trains, that has a curriculum that's very holistic. Like, believe it or not, a lot of people, traditionalists, they give flack to this. They look at MMA schools now and they say, oh, that's combat sport, that's garbage, right? But